going on, everybody? So I want to get through another quick mock draft for the LA Chargers, but before I did that, there was some more news that came out, some like rumor mill stuff where apparently if there is a possibility that the Chargers could get wide receiver Tyreek Hill from Miami, it would only cost them maybe like a 5th round pick. So if he's going to go to somewhere else, actually, yeah, it would be Hill and the 2025 5th round pick coming to the Chargers, and then a 2nd and a 4th round pick in 2026 going to Miami. So it could be possible. I know CBS is kind of talking about this, one of their analysts, but I don't know. That's quite a bit to give up to a guy who's kind of slowing down, not as much of a cheetah as he used to be called back then with Kansas City. So I don't know if he can stay healthy for a full season anymore. But if it does happen, then hopefully they did not give up that much in the process. There's another guy who was still a free agent. I don't know if he is 100%. I know when I got this screenshot, he was the linebacker / safety Isaiah Simmons. And I know he was recently probably in LA, and he's still only 26, and it's at a position that the Chargers could use a player like that. And I know when he came out in the draft, that was a Herbert draft where I wanted them to draft Simmons in that 1st round, top 5 or 6, whatever it was, and then select Jalen Hurts, the Philadelphia quarterback, in the 2nd round, where they still could have if that draft still ended up going the way it was in my head. But either way, this guy's a free agent for a reason. He really hasn't panned out, and is still considered a bust, but with that much athleticism and still at that age, I think they should still take a chance on a player like that, in my opinion. A couple other draft stuff coming out for the news with the Chargers. They did look at a linebacker, Alexander Muller. He's from Northwestern, and he had a couple of sit-down meetings with the Chargers. Another player from Rutgers is the cornerback Eric Rogers. Looks like he was interviewed by the Chargers, or at least they are showing interest. And the Chargers were also in attendance last week for San Jose State's Pro Day. They were looking at the wide receiver Nick Nash and also the defensive lineman Sone Toya. And I remember Nash because he definitely beat up USC when they were playing against them a couple years ago. Obviously, USC still won that game, but Nash definitely torched them for quite a bit of yards. And he was like an ex-quarterback turned receiver, and of course he goes off against the Chargers. But a quick mock draft that I want to get through was more on the defensive side if they had an edge drop to them and Donovan Ezeiruaku. So I had them selecting him in the 1st round. 2nd round is the tight end Elijah Arroyo from Miami, and the 3rd round is the wide receiver Savion Williams from Tennessee. A couple other edge players that they could have looked at was James Pierce Jr., maybe a Shamar Stewart. I know like a Nick Squirtin is probably going to be long gone before then, but like a Landon Jackson, JT Tuimoloau, Braden Swinson, also like a Jack Sawyer is a guy I like from Ohio State. But yeah, a couple guys that they could look at, and like some of those guys are more in the 2nd round, but if they're lucky to get them in the 2nd round, because now they're kind of being talked about late in the 1st. But yeah, a couple of those names could be that part of the 1st round or in the 2nd, hopefully. So yeah, a lot of good names there, and hopefully the Chargers at least select one, because now without Bosa, you need somebody to help back out at least for this next couple years and then into the future too. So we'll see about that.